More of America's hand in the Gulf War is tipped this morning. Word that the U.S. deliberately distorted intelligence reports to both Iran and Iraq. This is the CBS Morning News. Good morning. I'm Forrest Sawyer.
And I'm Faith Daniels. It's Monday, January 12th.
Terry Waite is not giving up. The Church of England envoy is returning to Beirut this morning, trying to win the release of more foreigners who are being held hostage by terrorists. 6 Americans are still missing in Lebanon, and we have heard little about their fate since the eruption of the Iran-Contra controversy. Waite delayed returning to Beirut until today because of new violence in the Lebanese capital. A new twist this morning in America's role in the Iran-Iraq war. Today's New York Times reports that the U.S. gave both sides doctored intelligence data, even going so far as to alter satellite photos. The paper quotes sources who say the idea was to keep either side from winning. Asked how this fell in line with selling weapons to Iran, one official reportedly said, "You had to have been there."
From the battlefront itself, new reports of intense fighting with key cities under fire. Iranian missiles hit the Iraqi cities of Basra and Baghdad. Iraq says it answered with airstrikes on Qum. Both sides claim thousands of casualties. Iranian TV pictures in black and white reportedly show Iraqi soldiers being taken prisoner. Political battles over Iran loom for President Reagan in Washington. He's expected back at his desk today for the first time since his surgery. This weekend, the White House tried to ease Mr. Reagan's load by pointing a finger at Israel. Jacqueline Adams reports.
Israeli denials notwithstanding, American officials are continuing to stress that, quote, we may have been sold a bill of goods by the Israelis in following their advice to sell arms to Iran. However, the new chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee refused to blame Israel.
No one tied our hands and made us do this, so the responsibility still must rest with the government of the United States.
Warren also cast doubt on the allegation that the Israelis suggested using Iran arms sales profits to finance the Contra rebels.
The committee was told by Meast that North told him that the Israelis suggested it. And how can you reach a conclusion on that basis?
Instead of blaming the Israelis, the ranking Republican on the committee said President Reagan must accept the blame for the flawed policy.
The president turned to amateurs for his advice on a major foreign policy initiative rather than listening to the sound and seasoned voices of the experts. And that's where I think the president made his mistake.
Barring further leaks, this week should be relatively quiet. President Reagan is still recovering from prostate surgery and plans to keep a low profile. The House is not in session. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee, however, plans to question former Secretaries of State Cyrus Vance and Henry Kissinger about the wisdom of the Reagan-Iran policy. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, the White House.
U.S. arms negotiator Max Kampelman will get final instructions from President Reagan today before flying to Geneva for a new round of talks. Kampelman will be facing a new Kremlin representative, Yuli Vorontsov, the first deputy foreign minister. U.S. officials hope Vorontsov's high rank is an indication Moscow is ready to compromise on an arms agreement. While arms talks resume in Geneva, the two sides are about to start a new round of nuclear testing. The United States has set a date for the first nuclear test of the year, February 6th, and the Kremlin says as soon as that happens, it will start its own tests. Extra patrols are on alert against anti-nuclear protesters at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. The protesters are vowing to block test flights of the Trident II missile. Several protesters appeared in court yesterday charged with trespassing. Some were arrested on the shuttle landing strip at the Kennedy Space Center.
It's the Denver Broncos and the New York Giants in Super Bowl 21. The Broncos beat the Cleveland Browns in overtime Sunday for the AFC title. Down by 7, John Elway takes Denver 98 yards and ties it with 37 seconds remaining in regulation. In overtime in the Cleveland cold, barefoot kicker Rich Carlos wins it for the Broncos on a 33-yard field goal that barely makes it. There's a giant celebration around New York, too, as Harold Dow reports.
With the aid of a 35-mile-an-hour wind at their backs, the Giants stung the Washington Redskins early and never let up. By halftime, the score was 17-0, and the Giants had all the points they needed to get into the Super Bowl. On defense, the Giants were awesome. They simply stopped the Redskins cold. For Giants and their fans, the celebration began early. It was their first conference championship in 31 years, and the Giants' first trip ever to the Super Bowl.
There's the guy who knows how to celebrate.
Giants nose tackle Jim Burt was so excited he took his celebration up into the stands. Even for fans who didn't have tickets, watching the game on television was just like being there.
Number one, we're going to Pasadena. Yeah!
We stopped and we're going to Pasadena. Yeah!
Last week, Mayor Koch touched off a controversy when he said New York City would not host a parade if the Giants won the Super Bowl because the team left Yankee Stadium to play in New Jersey. Now the Giants say if they do win it all, they will hold their own celebration right here at Giant Stadium. Harold Dow, CBS News, East Rutherford, New Jersey.
It was cold at those ball games, but not nearly so bad as Europe, which is in the middle of a deep freeze today. Sub-zero temperatures hitting several countries, locking some ships and harbors and cutting off supplies in many areas. In Sweden, where readings hit 49 degrees below zero in the north, Army troops had to help deliver supplies, and it wasn't easy. Readings in Siberia hit 70 degrees below zero. It's a lot warmer in Moscow. Temperatures there are at a balmy 22 below. A little different in St. Paul, Minnesota. There it was like carrying coals to Newcastle. Truckloads of snow had to be carted into the city for its annual winter carnival. Just not enough of the stuff around for a team of Japanese sculptors to begin work on their 26-foot-high sculpture.
Now this morning's weather news. In the northeast, much of Maine is digging out from snow. Nearly 20 inches fell at Bangor yesterday, with a foot recorded around Portland. Many roads remain snow-covered and driving conditions are hazardous. The snow is tapering off to flurries today, but strong winds will continue. Elsewhere around the nation, sunny skies will stretch from the Carolina coast all the way to the Rockies with mild temperatures. The only rain in the picture comes across the northern coastline and in portions of southern Texas. Coming up, Ken Prewitt reports on OPEC and your pocket. And later, Mike Pappas has word of a new program to put the jobless back to work. That and more ahead.
This portion of the CBS Morning News is sponsored by General Foods Corporation, which says satisfying your family is what we're all about.
I never knew this about you.
Are you impressed?
Well, I am now.
Oh, it's fantastic. So what's it called?
Fruit and?
Forget the fiber and fruit and fiber. You're gonna love it, just for the taste.
Only Fruit and Fiber has all these lush combinations, overflowing with sweet fruit, fresh, crunchy nuts, and surrounded with the highest fiber flakes.
I love it.
You're gonna love it, just for the taste.
Post Fruit and Fiber cereal. Tastes so good you forget the fiber.
Business. These days, it's no cakewalk. You want to get ahead? Use the tools of the trade.
Watch your step. Have a nice day.
Use the card rated best by frequent business flyers for travel and entertainment, the American Express card. And use United Airlines to give you more flights to more top business centers.
Tough climb, huh?
Yeah. Look, you know where you want to end up. Wow. Nice view. Why not make it a little easier on yourself getting there?
Oh, I have to buy a mop. Which one? The cheapest. And they're all the same.
Not true, ladies. Nothing beats the Roll-O-Matic. Wringing is easy thanks to Roll-O-Matic's fingertip action. And only Roll-O-Matic has these scrubber and waxer heads. Look, simply press the lever rods in, remove one mop head, and replace it with another. So don't be fooled by imitations. Get the original Roll-O-Matic. It's the one with the butterfly.
Ask for Roll-O-Matic at these and other fine stores. Kmart, Sears, participating Ace, and True Value hardware stores.
Here's the purchase agreement for your Tandy computers. The training sounds great. Can we get it done in time?
Absolutely. The schedule we've designed for your people includes courses for each department with hands-on training and specialized software instruction.
And we'll be with you every step of the way. That's the kind of support and training we need.
Tandy Computers at Radio Shack Computer Centers. In business, for business.
And news from around America this morning. New York's John Cardinal O'Connor is defending his statement that the Holocaust may be an enormous gift to the world from Judaism. At St. Patrick's Cathedral, O'Connor said he meant that redemption comes from suffering. And he said he is deeply disappointed by Jewish criticism of statements he made during his Middle East trip.
I hope that there is nothing in that statement that will make it more difficult than it has been for me in trying to support the Jewish cause, because I don't need any further difficulty. I'm not a masochist.
O'Connor says more criticism might affect the Vatican's efforts to help the Middle East peace process. In Chicago, Mayor Harold Washington says no question about it, he will run as a Democrat in the mayoral primary next month. Two of Washington's opponents are running as independents. And the pilots of the Voyager set a big record with their flight around the world, and now they're trying to pay off their big debts with a nationwide speaking tour. Dick Rutan and Gina Yeager kicked off the tour yesterday at the University of Rochester.
Forrest, let's take a look now at some travelers' news this morning. United Airlines tops the consumer complaint list. The government added up last year's complaints, and United had the most, followed by People Express and Eastern. If you're looking to rent a car in Miami or in Orlando, remember the Alamo. The Alamo Rent-A-Car Company cut its weekly rate to $49, and Travel Management Daily says that has triggered a price war. The driver is winning. That is, except when it comes to filling the tank. The new Lundberg survey shows gas prices jumped 3 cents a gallon in 2 weeks. Average price, 88 cents a gallon. Here's a look at our traveler's weather report this morning. Fair weather is on the way for most of the nation's larger cities. New York will be partly cloudy and very windy, clear skies from Chicago to Denver. Now here's a look at the weather in your hometown. Portland, Maine, snow showers and 31 degrees. Alexandria, Minnesota, partly cloudy and 40. Sunny skies and 53 in Memphis. Albuquerque, sunny and 55. Boise, Idaho, 35 degrees and cloudy. Partly cloudy and cool for San Francisco. This week on Midday.
A Des Moines man talks about his multicultural newspaper, The Communicator.
Some ISU students are acting up for the MTA. We'll learn more, and we'll find out how a mother and daughter were reunited through a runaway service.
The jet-powered monster truck, the Silver Bullet, highlights the auto show. We'll take you there, and to Drake University, where we'll join a celebration for Martin Luther King's birthday.
We'll take you to the Women's Club art exhibit, and a doctor talks about a medical problem most people won't discuss.
All of this and more on Midday.
Over 400 classes are available to Central Iowans through the Department of Community and Adult Education of the Des Moines Public Schools. Winter classes begin the week of January 12th through the 17th and offer something for everyone. There's physical fitness or courses in business. You can enroll your youngsters in the preschool program or try skiing, auto tune-up, or home wiring. For more information on lifelong learning, contact the Department of Community and Adult Education at 242-7701.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average shattered the 2,000 mark last week. Ken Prewitt joins us now with a look at some stocks not in the Dow, which are getting in on the act as well. Ken?
Faith, good morning. It's been years since the stock market has gotten off to such a strong start in January. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has hit 5 record highs in a row, and in the process going over 2,000 for the first time ever. The market's up to 2,005 this morning. Through much of last year, a lot of market analysts were disturbed because the action was confined to the big capitalization stocks represented by the Dow, but that seems to be changing. Last week, the industrial average moved up 4%, not bad, but the smaller companies listed on the American Exchange Index went up 6%, and the still smaller companies in the NASDAQ Composite Index went up nearly 8%. Byron Ween, the director of U.S. investment strategy at Morgan Stanley, thinks that's going to be the big story of 1987. The smaller stocks, which have languished for a couple of years, will start to move. And those are the kinds of stocks that are typically held by small investors. Small investors don't have many other places to go because interest rates have fallen to the lowest levels in years. We'll get a new reading on the direction of rates today as the Treasury auctions nearly $15 billion in 3- and 6-month bills. At last week's auction, yields fell to about 5.5%, down from more than 7% a year ago. Gold is getting the week off to a strong start. It's up $5 an ounce in London at $409.90. Silver's up 3 cents at $5.53. The American dollar is trading lower overseas this morning.
All right, Ken, thanks very much. And let's top our sports report this morning with word about the New York Giants and the Denver Broncos. They are headed for Pasadena and Super Bowl 21 in Cleveland. The Browns quarterback Bernie Kosar had a solid day, completing 18 of 32 passes for 244 yards.
We just decided we weren't going to be denied today. And I think Cleveland may have taken us a little lightly in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the Broncos' John Elway tied it up 20-all in a stunning 95-yard drive capped by a 5-yard TD pass.
When it came to time to do it, everyone was there and got the job done. And, you know, like you said, I wasn't going to give up. I was going to leave everything I had on that field.
Then, in sudden death overtime, the Broncos' Rich Carlos kicks the winning field goal. Even his teammates weren't sure it was over.
They went over the inside of the bar, and I said, God dang it, I saw the Rich throw his hand up, and I just got down on my knees and said, son of a gun.
The final score, Broncos 23, Browns 20. The CBS Morning News continues. Continuing the morning news report, good morning. I'm Forrest Sawyer.
And I'm Faith Daniels. If you're just joining us, here are the top stories.
Hostage envoy Terry Waite is heading for Beirut. Waite left London this morning. The Church of England says he will resume efforts to free those held in captivity there, including the 6 Americans missing in Lebanon. Waite wanted to go before Christmas, but canceled his plans because of heavy fighting in Lebanon. It is reported this morning that the United States has been providing Iraq and Iran with deliberately falsified intelligence data. Sources tell the New York Times that the disinformation campaign has been going on for several years. Some examples. Iran reportedly given an exaggerated estimate of Soviet troops on its border, and Iraq given altered satellite photographs of Iran. Meanwhile, a 4th day of heavy fighting is reported between Iran and Iraq around the Iraqi city of Basra. These pictures from Iranian TV. Both sides claim to have inflicted thousands of casualties. Iran says it has advanced into Iraqi territory. Iraq says the Iranian drive has met with heavy defeats. But none of these claims have been verified.
Federal safety officials in Maryland plan today to send locomotives along the route followed by the Conrail engines that collided with an Amtrak train earlier this month. The officials are trying to determine whether signal problems could have led to the crash. But as the probe continued yesterday, a memorial service was held for the 15 victims at a church near the crash site. Robert Shackney was there.
Were you today, our brothers and sisters? Cerise M. Horn, Kristen Luce, Corrine Luce, Chrissy Johnson.
As the church bells pealed, the names of each of the 15 victims killed in the collision were recited to the congregation of neighbors and rescue workers who'd gathered for the memorial service. About 100 persons joined in interdenominational prayers at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church in nearby Essex. Among them, firemen, police, and medical workers who'd responded to the calls for help just 1 week earlier. It is a time to turn to God to find some healing, said the Reverend Michael Adams. At the collision scene, workmen were still busy with repairs to the track. Sometime this week, investigators hope to get critical information they still need. Measurements from the analysis of the black boxes, the data recorders taken from the freight locomotives involved in the collision. Also results of drug tests given the train crews. And, weather permitting today, investigators plan to run a locomotive past the wayside signal involved in the collision to test its visibility. Robert Shackney, CBS News, Washington.
In Paris today, right-wing political parties are calling for demonstrations to protest public workers' strikes. The strikes have been going on for nearly a month, partially paralyzing rail and subway lines. However, workers say they won't interrupt utility service so that consumers won't lose heat in France's current cold wave. Forrest?
Workers in this country, Faith, are facing a growing problem called displacement. It's not just that they have lost their jobs. It is that the current employment picture makes their skills obsolete. Ike Pappas tells us what's being done for these workers.
In the last 5 years, more than 5 million American workers have become displaced. Most of them are farmers and factory workers who have become permanently laid off because of foreign competition, technological and economic changes. The government's task force proposes to triple the cost of programs to help them.
These are people that have established good work habits. These are people who are committed to the work ethic and who are needed by our economy and by our society in the workforce.
The millions of dollars already being poured into programs to retrain these often highly skilled but permanently displaced workers has been seen as inadequate to handle the problem. That problem is expected to grow as the American economy continues to change and expand. The plan to be unveiled today asks that workers about to be displaced be better prepared for what lies ahead of them.
We're saying, instead of just saying, you're on your own, buddy, good luck, we want to offer them a variety of labor market information, training, counseling, testing, job search efforts, job development, and things like that, and they can choose from it.
What has happened, says the task force, is that society has begun to realize the magnitude of the problem of the displaced worker.
The main thrust of this is not a program that says these poor people need to be helped, but that this poor country needs these people in more productive occupations, and it's in everyone's interest.
Budget critics say that the $1 billion, while welcome, amounts to only a preemptive strike by the Reagan administration to head off criticism that the president ignores the unemployed. They point out that while funds to help displaced workers have been increased, other programs for the unemployed have been cut, and they warn they will fight to restore aid to the jobless across the board. Ike Pappas, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
It's down to just 4 boats in the America's Cup. Two Australian 12-meters must battle it out for the right to defend the championship. And starting tomorrow, the fiberglass-hulled New Zealand will take on the San Diego Yacht Club's Stars and Stripes to decide the challenger. Barry Peterson reports.
He is the old salt, Dennis Conner and his Stars and Stripes, the last American boat left of the 6 who dreamed of winning back the cup. For Conner, it is a grudge match. He was at the helm when America lost the cup last time around. Now there is one last hurdle between him and the Australians, the boat from New Zealand. New Zealanders call themselves Kiwis. They call their boat Kiwi Magic. And the odds makers who once called them a long shot now say they're calling the shots. Kiwi Magic and its 25-year-old skipper Chris Dixon have raced Stars and Stripes 3 times and beat them twice. A day before their duel on the water, the old salt and the upstart faced each other at a news conference.
We don't think it will be easy. The New Zealanders have had a tremendous season, and it'll be tough, but I think we're up to it. Happy to go on record to say there's no possible way that Stars and Stripes is going to beat the Kiwis 4-zip. Obviously hope that they're not going to beat the Kiwis at all.
For the Australians, it's a good bit of fun to show off to the tourists that not everybody takes all this seriously. But the Australians are watching carefully to see if New Zealand or Stars and Stripes becomes the one they will ultimately face. Then it will be Australian pride that will be tested. They brought the cup down under. Can they keep it here? Barry Peterson, CBS News, Fremantle.
And back home, the Lylesville Baptist Church in North Carolina is benefiting from a pause that refreshes. In 1948, a parishioner left the church 17 shares of stock in the Coca-Cola Company of Alabama. Well, the Alabama unit has since been sold to the main Coca-Cola Company in Atlanta. Now that stock is valued at $970,000. A very nice return on an initial deposit.
I should say, Forrest. Now let's take a look at the nation's agenda today. Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger testifies before the Senate Armed Services Committee on plans to boost Pentagon spending 7.7%. And Senator Edward Kennedy's Labor and Human Resources Committee holds a hearing on health care. There's more news coming up. Plus, later this morning, medical correspondent Dr. Bob Arnott reports on a new study that says sudden heart attacks are likely to strike in the morning hours. There's more ahead on the CBS Morning News.
That'll do it. Who wants grapefruit juice?
I'll pass.
It's good for you. It's great for dieting.
I know, but...
Lots of vitamin C?
Yeah, but
the taste? Here, try this. Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail. It's tangy, smoother, sweeter.
This is grapefruit juice?
Uh-huh.
It's not bitter.
It's Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail. And it's not just good for you, it's good. Ocean Spray good.
When your name is Hilton, you learn that every guest deserves a thank you. So thanks a million.
Only Hilton says thank you with a gift for every guest every day you stay. Gifts like upgrades on Hertz cars, free flights on United Airlines, and a year of free stays at Hilton. There are no points to add up, nothing to keep track of, and nothing else like it in the hotel business. A gift for every guest every day.
Nobody says thank you like Hilton. Thank you.
Do you know someone that got up on the wrong side of the bed this morning? Send them an FTD pick-me-up bouquet. It's bright flowers, rainbow coffee mug, and reusable tote bag. We'll put them back in the swing of things.
So these are Tyson chicken chunks. Golden crispy outside. 100% tender chicken inside. Delicious.
Tyson chicken chunks. Great tasting chicken in a bite-sized chunk.
Taste this.
The whole thing? That's a big crunch for such a little thing.
That little thing's packed with goodness.
I can believe it with a crunch like that. It's got a nice nutty taste.
And it has no added sugar or preservatives.
There's no room. What are these little things?
Grape nut cereal.
Grape nuts? I could go for a whole bowl full.
You got it.
Have a bowl of crunchy, nutty, packed with goodness grape nuts today.
Protests in Rome this morning are greeting a trip to Italy by Polish leader Wojciech Jaruzelski. Labor unions are demonstrating against the continuing crackdown on solidarity. Jaruzelski's arrival in Rome today marks an important departure for his regime. Bert Quinn explains.
It's the first official journey west for the Polish general since martial law was imposed 5 years ago. And for Jaruzelski, it's a big step toward bringing Poland in from the cold of international isolation. Italy's prime minister issued the invitation 2 years ago, but it wasn't confirmed until Jaruzelski freed Poland's political prisoners last September. Pope John Paul II will receive him at the Vatican, an audience designed to improve Jaruzelski's image. Apparently, that's the price John Paul is paying for a return visit to his homeland this June. But all the meetings won't be cordial. The Italian labor unions, including those run by communists, want Jaruzelski to allow Solidarity, the union he smashed, to operate in the open again.
They have tried several times to be heard in their country without success. So we want to put our voice together with their voice in order to be heard by the Jaruzelski government.
The Polish Communist Party chief has agreed to meet with the Italian labor leaders, but he's made it clear that, as far as he's concerned, Solidarity is dead. Bert Quint, CBS News, Rome.
And now a look at this morning's satellite weather picture. Clouds across the northeast today with a strong storm over Newfoundland bringing high winds and some snow flurries. Elsewhere, plenty of sun across the heartland today. Clouds will be giving way to sun over the northern plains. They'll be bringing temperatures well above seasonable levels. Now, here is a look at the weather in your hometown. Boston, cloudy and 37 degrees. Cincinnati, 36 and partly cloudy. Plenty of sun in St. Louis, temperatures reaching 50. Reno, partly cloudy and 39. It will be mostly sunny and 60 in San Diego, the place to be this morning.
Here's Doug Kretzinger with today's job news from Job Service of Iowa.
Thank you and good morning. The first job we have on today's job news is for an executive secretary. You must be able to type 65 words per minute accurately. You need dictaphone transcription skills and 3 years experience. Speed writing would be a plus. You'll be getting paid $16,500 a year. And the other job for today is for a receptionist and secretary. You will process invoices, maintain MIS library, and do filing. You must have typing skills of 55 to 60 words per minute and be able to handle 10 key by touch. You will get paid $6.25 to $6.75 an hour. That depends on experience. For more information on these and other jobs, you can contact Job Service of Iowa at 8230 Hickman Road or 150 Des Moines Street here in Des Moines. And that's a look at today's job news.
Britain's Prince Edward today resigned his commission in the Royal Marines. The prince had undergone some ridicule in the press there because of reports that he was disenchanted with military life and found the training too tough. Nigeria, the next stop for Secretary of State Schultz on his African trip. But when in Kenya, he did as the Kenyans do, looking slightly uncomfortable but nevertheless game. Mr. Schultz and his wife joined in an exotic welcoming dance by the Maasai tribe. Now, Secretary of State has to learn to be quick on his feet, but this makes political tap dancing look easy. Schultz continued with a tour of the wildlife preserve where the movie Out of Africa was filmed, and he looked every inch the part of a big game hunter.
Of course, we will be back at the top of the hour with updates on all the major morning developments, plus more on the President, the Congress, and the Iran crisis. And we'll ride the road to the Super Bowl, and Ken Prewitt reports on OPEC oil prices.
I'm Forrest Sawyer with Faith Daniels. Stay with us. There's more on the CBS Morning News.
This is CBS.
It's your turn.
Let's flip a coin.
No way, I did it last night.
Oh, how about it, Fez?
It's your turn to warm up the bed.
But it's like a freezer. Sparky, old boy, do you want to come sleep with Mommy and Daddy tonight? Come
Why not discover warm flotation sleep from Big Sur waterbeds? The New York is $199.99, or the Scottsdale is $149.99 in a light or dark finish.
Come on, Sparky. Come on.
Big Sur waterbeds, America's largest, 3715 Merle Hay Road at Douglas in Des Moines.
TVA News takes you there, to the tearful scene in Kellogg as 5 children leave for new homes after losing a legal battle to stay with their foster parents. To a violent shootout as a Des Moines man fires at 4 would-be robbers. And former council member George Nahas becomes Des Moines' 63rd mayor, filling the vacancy left by the death of Mayor Pete Rivero. Be a part of it all. News Alive on TV8.